The Very Best Childhood or My Hawaiian Memories. 1976 to 1981 by the McBrides. 1 copyright 2010. By William McBride, ISBN 978-0-557-82432. 8 On our school field trips we imps visited the zoo in Hawaii. I remember my experience of seeing the fish varieties. My queer brother Mike and I slept in the back room in separate beds in our third home, on 2626 Pond Road, our third home before we moved to Texas. We had a back porch and a backyard which we would take to. There was a fence alongside the third home in our yard where hibiscus plants grew and bloomed. I ate new olives off my fingertips from the can. I remember the great trails up and down the mountain where many plants thrust up and were abundant. The waterfalls were farther inland within the glorious mountains and wood. My dad would bring me seashells home from his trips abroad when he came back to rest. The favorite walls and wallpaper of the third home were blue. My pop would barbecue late at night on the back patio or inside the kitchen. My queer brother Mike once got stung by a buzzing bee as our family were hiking back up to our home from the seashore. At my Palo Alto school our class watched and were fans of the Little Mole cartoon episodes. My grandmother Gaga visited us on her vacation far away from Virginia and bought a stuffed animal cat. I remember the television show Buck Rogers and the Robot Man that would say oh boy oh boy oh boy oh boy oh boy oh. My dad had German and Marine Corps steins that seemed magical. Way back in time. Pop had many ribbons and pins from his service in the Marine Corps. Pop had a red glass LCD light plug-in calculator. Sometimes I would join and pretend shave with him. We ate cookies at school. Sugar cookies. Pineapples from the market. Papayas. A candy with the wrapper that you could eat. Gaga. My grandmother brought Mike and I rock candy and we also had hibiscus root candy. We saw Japanese kabuki artistic theater. There was once a great feast. A luau. We ate with Hawaiian people outdoors with poi from the market. There were noisy neem geese at the zoo. I Love Life was one folk song which I heard live on a beautiful shining hill with lots of kids. I was given a bike by 2 girls who lived uphill next door on Pond Road there. I had a little koala bear and a collapsible giraffe toy and water pump toy games which I pursued with pleasure. There was a trapdoor part of a timely top shell which was called a cat's eye. We had orange curtains up with pom-poms. Here and there were glass crab sinkers which we had for decoration. I got my first Legos, which I loved. Regular blocks and big people. Around the time we saw the movie Water Babies, I had 2 lunch boxes to dally with. How the West Was Won, and Sesame Street. I enjoyed the experience of eating peanut butter, honey and banana sandwiches, chips, Cheetos, fritters, pretzels, and the little boxed cereal in the bulk packages which gave you a variety. I had 2 rubber duckies which I dallied with. The commissary was a cylinder building with the walls painted white. One of my oldest memories. I had a Pat, the bunny to behold. My parents had coins and dollars on their one shelf. My dad gave me aesthetic dollars and coins from his travels to Kenya, Australia, Philippines, Africa, China, and Japan. I collected snake head cories, tiger cories, and speckled head cories. Tops were common ones on the shore. I remember talking with my mother while walking along the sunny beach. Mokulana with Leon and Malaya was a favorite record I owned in my childhood. My mom had miniatures and dolls in an octagon display case to examine. David, the youngest child, had a yellow crib that was passed down and set up. Here and there were some felt crocheted blocks as toys. We once saw Big Bird in concert and got a feather from him. I wore new Oshkosh Bigosh and Izard. We had Eris silverware, beautiful 1-ton spoons, mushroom soup, olives, grilled cheese, tomato soup and alphabet. My dad drunk in the dark sometimes pearl beer. Macadamia nuts from the tree were very good. Grimace from McDonald's was a guy I started to like. Snuffleupagus from Sesame Street also was madly a favorite of mine. I was Red James and the Giant Peach in School by Linda, Tom, and Gladys, my new teachers. There were huge monkey trees which I knew to climb. I enjoyed not only peppermint ice cream, but others. I loved and had, for not only one birthday, baked Alaska ice cream cake. There were stationary airplanes on base which we could come up to and look at up close. We had well-roasted peanuts. My dad sufficiently taught me how to ride a bike after the training wheels came off. We saw The Jungle Book, the Disney movie, and whispered in the theater. I liked barracuda, game swordfish, piranha fish and blowfish. My pop would always say Rutabaga pop his gum pop thoroughly and say chitty chitty bang bang. There were plastic block boxes blue and red with some letters all together on them. We ate Twinkies in the yard. I beautifully helped Mike learn his alphabet and Twinkle Little Star. The music we listened to was Hawaiian, folk, and timely classical. Some shows we watched in the evening were Charlie Chaplin, The Bloodhound Gang, and Albert and Costello. I found the show program schedule on TV weird to my imagination. Reagan and Mondale had an ruling election. My brothers and I ate pudding pops, fruit cocktail cups by Del Monte, pudding cups, and popsicles. On our second home, there was a lone ice cream truck which I chased down with a guy who had a mustache. My mom used to dress gaily behind a screen panel with a wood frame and orange tweed curtains. We had an orange flower lamp that was hung up from the ceiling. My pop had a barbecue stove under the trees, and he entertained some of his friends. Helmets, Commander Lynch, and snow. I rode the old yellow school bus to school with Mike. School had a nap time. I ate fruit sherbet, yogurt, ham and cheese sandwiches, and raspberry frozen yogurt from the market. Mom took off the wholesome crust and rinds. Mom came by with us on a school picnic. I got to be outrageously on television as a background kid. There were dreams of a volcano eruption, and of me losing my toothbrush in the waves and crying for it in the mean gloom. There were concrete snakes in the yards at the zoo. There was a butterfly exhibit at that Superior's zoo. There was a feathery cockatoo and a parrot show at the zoo inside. There was at one time a killer whale show at the zoo. We went to the ice cream parlor on sunny days. There were mongees along the fences in many weathers. We read and criticwood where the wild things are at the zoo. I went to New Palo Alto Montessori School. The xylophone was my favorite instrument which I saw pleasantly played at a symphony. We existed in a bearable perpetual present moment. We went to McDonald's in the rain. I looked at the shiny traffic lights. There were distant ships seen from on the sunny beach. The Little Mole cartoon was big time awesome. King Kamehameha was big for me in pleasant Hawaii. We wee ones read Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein. I would look in the water pools at the seashore. I got a cone shell one best day that way. My dad still took many trips out. My dad had appendicitis. That was when we lived at our good second home. My dad's gay orange Honda Z was called the Orange Bomber. I was called Billy Mac by some in time. I loved the Hawaiian state fish, the Humuhunukunukuaoa one. My deep first earth memory is of flowers and lizards, geckos. One year I got shells and toy dinosaurs for my birthday. I had safes and I played You Sunk My Battleship with my queer brother, Mike and Uncle Gerard. I had lots of puzzles to read, and my pop taught me how to count by tens. I loved whales, but hunchback especially. I loved Hawaii, the one and only. I loved to go up the mountains. Lava rock was everywhere in those years. The childlike ocean, the sky, and the rainbows were magnificent. My dad was circulated in the military. I went to 2 schools at the same time for my education. Dinosaurs were a big interest of mine to be entertained by. I visited yet a glass-bottom boat once. I enjoyed seeing the new underwater coral and clownfish. The city of Honolulu was where I lived in my given early childhood. There once was a huge moth on our back porch wall side. There was at our flowery zoo a giant Gila lizard and king lizard. In my days there I had a Mickey Mouse watch. Watched the Mickey Mouse Club. Remember Annette Funicello. I had a gold and silver chain. My dad had a tattoo of an American Marine Corps emblem on his right arm. Sometime there would, above our home, be fog on the mountain top. Diamond Head. I went to a seashell club when we were living at our second restful home. I won a top shell for my prize. I had some swell Hello Kitty stuff, a suitcase in miniature, and more. I had a Nico cat the size of a mouse named Chaying. We went to Chinatown for a calling. My pop worked at a planetarium-like building on base and there was a mean little dog which I was afraid of. I remember the Honorable King Kamehameha and his feathers and flowers, leis, and mohawk. I watched Old Yeller and The Incredible Journey. I like the new Caribous. I remember our adult neighbors and their yard. I had a Things That Work book to read. Don't put that in your mouth, Billy. Mom, I watched a forceful World War II documentary. I had a pierced shell necklace. We watched Three's Company. Information over the years from the computer has clouded the memories of our universal glories. Ora to ferreted, it has piled up. The memory is far back when it does this. Ora to ferreted, I taught myself how to read and write and why. Here and there were many military parades. My dad jogged in the morning dawn, did pull-ups, push-ups, and sit-ups. Sometimes I did them with him. My dad had a black comb with white letters. I had more seashell sheets in our third home. I had a tree stump room with a gate for my toy mouse. I loved to read my Monty the Mouse book. Mike and I had a Snoopy and Red Baron airplane mobile together above our beds. There were some glow-in-the-dark stars and moon on the ceiling at our third home. In our second home we had neighbors with an above-ground hot tub. On the 4th of July we lit sparklers and I burned myself and found no fun by doing so. There were some visits from my distant relatives out by the trees. David McBride was born in 1979, and we moved to our third home where hibiscus flowers bloomed by the sea. Mom would take me to a diner for breakfast when we lived at our first home many times. This is given to me as my oldest memory. I had in our house a ukulele and a thumb African instrument. Dad would bring us gifts after every trip and kiss us. I had a catalog of shells book. I had snake, mineral, and shell golden books which I read in the daylight. There were land African snails, centipedes, millipedes, roller-polies, and cockroaches every now and again. Little ferns would close when you were being not afraid and touched them. There was a side greenhouse out back of Palo Alto. I had a great time riding and thrusting my tricycle in the playground. I had a little colorful globe, a new miniature globe, and magnetic alphabet letters and numbers. I finger painted and remember the dryer in our first home. Memories of my distant past. I remember my application to go to Palo Alto who called to tell us I was accepted. I found a camera at school, took it home to play with, and my mom asked me to take it back the next day and apologize. Curious George, Sam Ilam, and Dr. Seuss I was told about and read. We soundly sang The Yellow Submarine. In school, there were afternoon thunder showers and rainbows afterwards which the children and men loved. Sometimes Mike and I climbed the tree outside of our third home. Lisa and Chris were our neighborhood friends at our third home up the street and their dad was interested in Australian travel. An unfavorite bad kid gave me blue paint to drink and said it was blueberry juice outside by the tree. Lord, did I have a fear of malaria and then of rabies. I watched a spirited show on Louis Pasteur and the creation of penicillin. We chose to pop popcorn in foil on the stove. We played with and rustled popcorn for packing. Some wild record artists were Roger Whittaker, John Denver, Dr. Zhivago, and Neil Diamond. We had a brown tweed couch with some plaid, and a good green bed couch. I had some Hebrew Bible study. There were puddles and earthworms on the land. We watched patiently the Muppets movie. Star Wars was my first movie I saw in the evening when we lived in our first home. I played actively with Mr. Potato Head. I played actively with Hungry Hippo. I played soulfully Chinese checkers with my family. Learning the different Chinese dynasties was most interesting. Reading haiku poetry fascinated me. We learned and loved to play Uno at the end. My mom took time to play solitaire on the kitchen table. My mom sewed well by hand. We played Menaday's Boggle and Yahtzee 361045. I found was my safes combination. I had Leo and Mousy as my stuffed animal friends for a long time. I played with Play-Doh when it rained. I loved Bratch's jelly nougat candies and all fruity hard candies. I liked Cracker Jacks and the new prizes. My aging pop had a snorkel and fins and also an air chamber. We had good fire hydrants. I surfed and sang with my teachers Linda and Tom. A standing fan was in our room. My mom told us about the story of how fanatical Sherry, our aunt, almost burned my mom's farm home down by accident with a fan. We had one coffee table with a bald feet. I liked thoroughly Milky Way candy bars. Planes soulfully zoomed overhead and sonic boomed. High coconuts would hit the rooftop. During storms the wind and the rain would brush plants against the walls outside making noises. There were lots of palm trees which had some kind of funny bark. I saw my pop at work making calls at night. He had a model battleship in the office building and marine banners and insignia on the wall. My dad was pleased he was promoted. He used to salute and call people private, sergeant, captain, civilian. We played Chutes and Ladders, Candyland, and Life, the game before moving to Texas. We drank well Mr. Pibb and saved the tabs with the writing on the inside of the tab. There was a show in those days with a drill sergeant Ryan and a Hawaiian lady, but it was not MASH. They later played in a Halls commercial in 2009. I remember The Who, and Pinball Wizard. My mom ate good old York peppermint patties. I loved lemon drops, one at a time. We ate many cough drops. We put on wonderful Vicks rub on our chests and under our noses. There were square band-aids too which we put on our wounds. There was a lively wiggle worm character, but not the I Love Life worm. My mom would watch any Magnum PI show with Tom Selleck. My mom would watch soap operas like Days of Our Lives and General Hospital until they were done. We watched MASH, Alice, The Dukes of Hazzard, and The Wonderful Love Boat with Fantasy Island. My pop was a fanatical fan of Chevy Chase. We watched How Pinwheel the show grew on Nickelodeon. The Red Balloon movie made me cry pearly tears. I loved to watch and know about Captain Kangaroo, Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom, The Benny Hill Show, Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids, The Price is Right with Bob Barker, Happy Days, Land of the Lost, Laverne and Shirley, Space 1999, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, The Late Show starring Johnny Carson, Hee Haw, Family Feud, Taxi, Mork and Mindy, WKRP in Cincinnati, Solid Gold, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, Gumby and Pokey, and more were programs we fortunately watched. I had a play toy wooden railroad tracks with a black train. Scrabble. It was fun. My favorite car was a Corvette Stingray. I also liked Jaguars that passed. My parents had a Cameo shell, but I could not find where it was. Dad wore another Draca cologne. Dad used generic shaving cream and rinsed his mouth only with Listerine. Mom had Vaseline. And we also had cherry chapstick. And mint from the market. I for one chewed Hubba Bubba bubble gum. We had a semi-silent humidifier and a thermometer. I had favorite little thermos cups which I drank from. Blue and yellow. I remember the baby bottles and pacifiers to use when David was born. Mom and Dad tucked Mike and I in for bedtime. Mom and Dad ate oysters on a sunny day. We ate wonderful fish sticks. Mike and I once jumped the neighbor's fence by the hibiscus plants by we were sensitive and frightened by the forest. I wanted to have a bow and arrow for our upcoming move to Texas. We had inflatable arm floaters. When David was born, he had a babyseat in the car. We all of us children had plastic green and brown chair boosters. We ate turkey sandwiches to live. We had good Del Monte pudding cups. I had a Marine Corps pendant on my wall. My pop had a brass Marine emblem from his Echo company. My pop had a plastic cabinet with his ribbons, bullets, coins and self-name tags. Dad and I had dog tags to tell who we were to others. There was a doghouse for a mean little white dog which was on a chain at my pop's work on the hill. We went to kids' clothing stores in town. Gaga, my grandmother, on her visit from Virginia, and my mom bought expensive stuffed animal Steve cats and brought them home. My queer brother and I went to Dillard's to buy shoes and we had our feet measured. There was a good candy store downtown. We doubled up and watched Puff the Magic Dragon. My Schwinn bike was red with training wheels. I also had a good little red tricycle and a big tricycle too. There was an aquarium and a timeless glass-bottomed boat. I had a pair of plastic roller skates for others to see. There was a vertical checkers game which we played in the end. I was very good yet at solving a pyramid puzzle, like a Rubik's Cube, which I also had in regular size and a mini keychain one. I could peel off the stickers to solve the puzzle once. I had a shell bead necklace which never broke. We ate at a Chinese restaurant and Arby's and told stories. Our lively grocery store was called Handy Dandy. There were Shell and Exxon Mobil rest stations. Anne, my aunt and I myself sang the song Humya Humya Nukunuku Apoe. I learned everybody's name at school. Sayings, Hawaiian folklore, history, the Pledge of Allegiance, memory games, spelling, and memory place cards. We also played musical chairs. I could find the Big Dipper and the North Star in the evening. I remember we had wooden folding tables with placemats on them. Our names were on cards and placed where we sat at school. We did construction paper projects, used crayons to draw, glued, and drew with rulers at the first school I went to. Sometimes I had problems staying within the lines when coloring interesting objects. My new first dictionary, red, and a Webster's Elementary Dictionary, yellow, were some reference books I owned. I had a beach ball and I liked to read. We ate pancakes at McDonald's. French toast was my favorite. We also ate English muffins with either honey or jams or jelly preservatives from Smucker's. Egg McMuffins just came out. My mom made green eggs and ham for us. My mom would let us choose what McCormick's food coloring to put in our breakfast bowls of oatmeal or farina. I liked cinnamon and spice instant Quaker oatmeal the best in any weather. We ate hard-boiled eggs with paprika and soft mayo. We sang along with the people who played guitar at school during the fall. There was some big sophisticated playground equipment outside of Palo Alto. I rode out there with others the tricycle after watching the Little Mole cartoon episodes. There were spider webs, vegetation, and noisy waterfalls. I had black flip-flops with a blue double stripe. My queer brother Mike had the red stripe flip-flops. My dad too had them. I owned a little pair of sandals. We brushed our teeth by and by at night and in the morning. Flossed. We drank water at night. My pop had a water pick. We said grace in the late night. We went to the dentist. We visited the base if I got sick and the doctor would give us wonderful dum-dum lollipops. I played with jumping jacks at school and at home. I had a jump rope and an impossible to get the hang of hula hoop which would always fall. I had a unicycle which I never learned how to ride. It was red with a white seat. My dad adjusted it for me in time. My mom would tape ribbons to the ceiling for our birthday parties during the years. There were also signs. My pop had a photograph of my mom in her personal wedding dress. We had a Kodak Polaroid instant flash camera and also a dark gray slideshow projector. My pop had a personal hum radio. My pop would plug his ears with yellow foam dials which sometimes got dirty. We had a white mono earplug for our black radio. There were outrageously Mercedes trucks all around. I used to watch for the license plates of the high cars to see where they were from. I was a pink mouse clown for a pleasant Halloween. My brother, a brown mouse. We bobbed for apples in a barrel. I was afraid of being kidnapped in the evening. Sometimes I wondered if my parents were really my original, if I was kidnapped. My stuffed animals were Grey Mousy and Leo. I remember seeing Leo, the lion, for the first time. I had a green tortoise stuffed animal in my big collection from the toy shops on the other side of the island. I for one loved strawberry milkshakes from McDonald's. We sometimes ate at Burger King on the hilltop. We had together 2 gold felt chairs. I had fill in the blank sentences by sentences for homework. I sat on the wall at Palo Alto and listened to the children play. I remember my mom coming to pick me up from school where I gave myself whole blisters hanging and playing on the playground equipment. I played tetherball until I was done. I played old maid cards and had fun. Mom met with one Avon lady. Mom permed her flowing hair. There was still authentic Hawaiian dancing outdoors and indoors of restaurants. Fruit Stripe was my favorite gum from the market. I also liked Juicy Fruit and Double Mint. I ate Jolly Ranchers and Tootsie Rolls alone. I ate Jello and wonderful butterscotch pudding. We had cupcakes with shaken sprinkles. Sprinkles came in flat, dot, tube, stars, and spheres. There were snake ash fireworks we hoped to light. Planes would skyride over the woods. I hadn't read a seashore book that depicted tube worms in it. There were Legos at school, wooden blocks, ABC blocks, Barbie and Ken dolls which I played with. There were Rolly People toys and prickly blocks that were plastic squares and rectangles to play with. I remember raking and jumping in the pile of leaves with my queer brother Mike. I for one loved hovercraft. We had play toy walls to build toy homes with. Dad had lots of maps of places which he kept in a gray-brown file cabinet. We had a castle playpen when we came home from school. There was a plastic and wooden child-proof gate shut for David. My mom would read to herself Phyllis Knight and Betty Crocker cookbooks more. My mom read at-home magazines. We read National Geographic magazines. There was a little scorpion shell which my pop gave to my mom late one night. We heard the witty Smoke Over Water song and Led Zeppelin. I read more of the Highlights magazine for kids. We had walkie-talkies and an unyielding slinky. Purple and green were my favorite colors in the world. David had a stuffed bunny puppet he called Bunny. He would leave it in the yard. Marl had a green mousey and David, a pretty yellow one. David sucked 2 of his fingers willfully at the same time. There was a pencil with replaceable little tube colors to write things down with. I had a pencil, pen, red pen, 3-in-1 pen also to write things down with. I had a black and white number scrambled slide puzzle. We had a big rug. I had a favorite little planetarium globe which was navy blue with a red frame. I had an old Etch-a-Sketch. Dad polished his boots with liveliness. He wore aqua velva. My parents made hot and cold sun tea sprinkled with sugar, and would drink more tab. We saw the cats Pookie and Bala on our vacation to Virginia. There my cousins and I rode ferry stick horses up to the forest road flowering fields. I had 2 safes I passionately kept locked and a bike lock. We owned a little black and white television, a record player on a shelf with speakers, and a record player television. There was an 8-track player a long time ago and a cassette player. I would get silver and gold stars for my good behavior at school. I was readily tested with math flashcards. David was born. We saw him in the hospital. They took his diapers off, and he peed much on my head. This was in Kilmarnock, Virginia. We flew in an airlines on a cold vacation to Virginia and back to Hawaii. My dad owned and was passionate about a Puget 20 speed bike. I had some Puma shoes which mom bought. My queer brother Mike broke his leg and had a cast and crutches. There was a timeless windmill. I had to use crutches for a sprained ankle for 2 weeks after falling out of our tree. Mike had a kind of brace for his red mouth. MASH was a nightly show which played late. We had potted plants in clay barbecue drums, and a clay shell toad mother with a piggyback baby toad, and frog for decoration. There was a gay knit flower wall decoration in brown, yellow, white, and orange. My pop had black binoculars and a gun. Pop had a sword letter opener which he put in the table drawer. I was given a poster of sea life with hunchback whales. Little Mole's record which he made was different colored. Gaga called and wallpapered. I wore old colored suspenders. We had our playful portraits done. We ate hominy and biscuits when night fell. I had a fishing pole, a buoy, and plastic worms to catch fish, but I never did. We sometimes experimented with bread dough as we would golden play dough. Mr. Wizard had us do lots of experiments like sucking up a straw and breaking a stick with newspapers which were placed down on the table and it underneath. I had a kangaroo toy that triumphantly bounced, and a collapsible giraffe toy you could push in the base to collapse it. The first time I learned about destructive nuclear war I was afraid of it. We had boomerangs which my living grandmother gave us but there was nowhere to throw them until we came to San Antonio, Texas. I owned a wind-up flying plastic yellow bird whose wings would flap by means of a rubber band. I had planes which you could wind up the propeller to make them fly by means of a rubber band. I put money and quarters in my safe. My dad would sometimes pay me for quickly remembering things. I had dinosaur models of light-colored wood. I for one loved cotton candy. At my school I moaned because I wanted Alfred our guinea pig to keep. I remember the names of Marmaduke, Hasbrio Bear, and Bobo. There was a timeless black dialing telephone which we had which came from a shop with phones for sale in it. I liked the timeless vintage cat phone. My manly pop had a huge painted picture from Japan of the coast. I would pop and swish the boggle dice. Aloha. I had a little flag set with the colorful Hawaiian flag, the American flag, and the Marine Corps flag. I had a black and white geometrical snake toy. The Incredible Hulk played on television until it was done. We sat and watched the Green Lantern. We noisily liked Spider-Man and Batman and Robin. We enjoyed getting up from our rest to watch Saturday morning cartoons like Looney Tunes and Sylvester and Tweety. There was a beloved movie theater on base. We could go up the mountain into the green lush. I remember stepping in a little dog poop. I saw a gray mouse at the zoo and tried to catch it and felt bad for not doing so. My manly pop would play his many harmonicas. I had one too. Pop would call me and sing with me 100 bottles of beer on the wall. My dad had some nice black shirts and as well wore white t-shirts. I remember my loving Pop's underwear. He would sing or play to me. Myself the Halls of Montezuma, Marine Corps anthem. I had a gold medal with a blue, silver, white and red ribbon. There were all kinds of trophies at my dad's work on display. Mike got sick much and stayed home more than I did. We all vomited now and again in an empty golden popcorn bowl. We drank 7-Up when we were sick. Michael, Timothy and Good David had birth certificates around. Mike and David rode around in a double stroller. Another stroller we bought had cane hook handles. I had a plaid marked shirt. I learned the old Roman numerals. I had a noisy recorder flute. I did not like cabbage, Brussels sprouts, lima beans, or bean sprouts. We ate cooked spherical beans, blackie and other varieties. Mom and Pop slept on silk pillows on the king-size bed with poles. I had a red and gray baseball fan hat. Simple Mike liked Oscar the Grouch. I had some gay orange plastic scissors. Mike had 2 little goldfish which died and Pop flushed them down the toilet. Pop drank Folgers coffee at our house. I wore some tan brown and gray corduroy vests. We listened to hear Beethoven's 5th and 9th symphonies, and Mozart, Bach, and Stravinsky. We saw 101 Dalmatians, Lady and the Tramp, The Aristocrats, and the Jungle Book Disney movies. I had some old 1-cent pennies, half dollars, and a Susan B. Anthony dollar I loved. I had a stamp collection in a black notebook with the broken Liberty Bell picture on it. I hated suffering being tickled. I drank good Capri Sun fruit juice. I drank good lemonade and Tang. I fed on hard and soft butterscotch candies. I liked Little Grover, Big Bird and Snuffleupagus. We went to a far church a few times, sometimes at night. My pop had engineering textbooks. There was an gay orange head pillow with arms. We had a big orange candle to light. There was bamboo here and there. My pop's desk had a mirror. Mom had a long mirror that stood and one on the wall. My mom wore wonderful dresses and lots of different shoes. My mom wore a black and white bathing suit. I thought mom had a beautiful voice and presence. I thought my dad was funny and handsome. I thought that they looked best of all parents and loved them much. Mike had a fuzzy rocking horse and I a wooden one many years ago. In those days we had a plastic toy owl clock. Our bikes had reflectors to catch car lights in. We had reflective red-orange bike jackets and helmets. I had a horn and a mighty bell on my bike. Our good grandmother McBride made us scarves. We had red quilts from both grandmothers. I had a Godzilla toy with a shootable arm and a cursed tongue that stuck out. The arm once was shot into my cousin Sarah's birthday cake. I had some Star Wars action figures like bright Luke Skywalker who rode an airbike. There were white tigers at our zoo. Polar bears. Moray eels. Manta rays. I used to like vivid pterodactyl dinosaurs. There was a timeless yellow lighthouse pillow. At our third home was a beautiful tabby alley cat. We ate nourishing beef jerky and Slim Jims. After working on homework we ate corn nuts. Drank pink lemonade from Countryside. We would come to eat nutmeg on our custard and tapioca. My pop made fourth bread. We ate golden Hawaiian bread. My mom read Nora Roberts and etiquette books. We championed a big encyclopedia book. There were great fortunate breezes. Little David caught whooping show. I had some American Marine Corps bumper stickers. My dad critically knew Japanese and some Chinese and Vietnamese. I remembered my dad had a Morse code connection and used it with his friends. I drew in the sand. I learned how and why to mix colors when I painted. We ate at Sun Yang's restaurant what we liked best. I had some birthday parties at McDonald's where Ronald dressed up with Grimace, the Fry Guys and Hamburglar, just like on television. We ate only Happy Meals and ice cream and got toys from the meal. I had a circle template and a geared round spiral circle drawing machine. I had a brand new little solar powered calculator. I loved a lot saltwater taffy. Saltwater taffy ice cream was my favorite. I digested all the Pepto-Bismol in the spoon. We had 2 funny hot water bottles and a cold water bottle to be comforted by. I had a thin parachute-like camouflage comforter to protect me from the weather. We had a hot blanket from the store. Here and there were silverfish bugs. My strange pop had many compasses to sell which were globular and flat. I experienced being in an outrageous submerging submarine. We had newspapers delivered falling on our front step. There were favorite plane shows with the Blue Angels. I learned the names of cars. Datsun, Jaguar, Saab, Corvette, Honda, Ford, Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche. I hated shadowy El Caminos. My dad read a series of automobile books. I was scared of rabies from dogs and fluttering bats and I wanted to stay inside. I feared to death penicillin shots. I was scared of mad hogs and boars. An unreasonable llama spat on me and chased me at the zoo making me mad. My aesthetic Izard shirts had alligator emblems. I was given a handbag. I love life. We all of us had suitcases. Mom gently dry cleaned clothes for her and Pop. We pursued a laundromat sometimes. Mom called Pop on the side phone when he was out to sea on a ship and when he was back. My Pop, in the sun, shined a mirror in my eyes when he returned from sea traveling. Light was my first worthy word according to my mom. I remember the battleships and ships sailing. We ate at a roaring mess hall on base. Grandma wonderfully taught me how to play chess. I saw on TV Fiery Smokey and the Bandit. I heard Fiddler on the Roof and Beatlemania. I sounded a tambourine. I myself heard the song Dance and Shake Your Tambourine by the Universal Robot Band. I saw the highly anticipated Disney movie The Rescuers. We ate no end to Swiss cheese. We ate endlessly hamburgers and cheeseburgers. We children had a portable radio. I outrageously ate cooked Vienna sausage with mom. I began to like cucumbers and pickles. We wished for and ate tuna fish sandwiches. We went to car shows. The passing cars had chrome pipes. My mom ironed and I smelled its odor. I liked Hammerhead Shark, Great White, and others like from the vivid movie Jaws. I had a favorite yellow and blue parakeet at our first house. The native Hawaiians rowboated. I sang Row Your Boat in fugue. The tide went up and down. There were booby birds all around circling. Lordly boys floated in the water. We feared to death Man-O the war and jellyfish. And thoughtless earthquake killed 1 million Chinese. We saw Gone with the Wind on TV. Reggie Jackson was a Yankee. I a fan. Beautiful Wonder Woman was on ABC. My dad had an insipid Sports Illustrated women's model calendar. We read a Magic 8 Ball. We had a wooden maze with a silver ball that you turned on the side the knobs to solve it, but I couldn't. We had the same kind of clear maze box without rings or knobs. I had a bright futuristic Mead notebook that smelled like nice plastic, and a Star Wars lunchbox. We had a push-button fish toy tank which we played with. I was sent some nice handheld games with gears and balls. I played with Lincoln Logs many days. I had this keychain with lots of keys, one called Chateau. We had plastic green, yellow, and brown mugs with rectangular handles which fit inside each other. I had a new digital alarm clock with a turquoise lighted numbers. My pop had a digital alarm clock with quick flip numbers. My mom one with green lighted numbers, and my pop another one with red. We came to visit Radio Shack. I had a silver and golden quartz watch. My quick pop had lacrosse sticks and gear. It was I who went to church with clip-on ties a few times. My hero was the bright soccer star Pel from Mexico. I invented an invisible paper plane which I would play with and throw and remember to catch days later. I had a noiseless foam rubber band slingshot plane. For our summoned parents, Mike and I made a hand shadow puppet show with our hands. I had a special dinosaur shadow hand puppet. I had a bright sheriff's star. I drank well squirt and mellow yellow. I had a colorful Australian flag. I had 2 rubber snakes, fallen pickup sticks, and jumping jacks. I liked to place cherry bombs against the curb. I remembered I played patty cake with my mom and friends. I was told the children's story of leprechauns and rainbows with pots of gold. I loved the movie Jonathan Livingston Seagull based on the book by Richard Bach. We used mothballs to send the moths away. I used to find new lizard eggs. Mike and I found new birds' eggs. I passionately had tassels on my bike's handlebars. I came to have a rear view mirror on my bike. We desired Vicks Vapor Rub when we were sick. On wooden trees we would carve our initials on the side. There were ball seeds on the anonymous trees. We laid sideways in a hammock out back. I had a bright gold star headband. I had green and blue sun visor caps. I powerfully remember Mike's and my first success at potty training. Dad made tape recordings of us in the tub and singing. Neighbors picked up their gray newspapers in their slips. Mom always wore legs pantyhose which came in plastic eggs. We used cotton balls and new Q-tips. 5, 6, 7, 8 Who do we appreciate? Rosalinda. We had tiki torches go out. When at my first school, we were told the story of Kind Jack and the Beanstalk. I sang by myself Hey Diddle Diddle and Bingo. I sang by myself The Purple People Eater. We saw many aesthetic Japanese and Chinese signs and symbols. There were dragons in the street at night and day during Chinese New Year. We all of us ate shish kebabs. We ate fries, good funnel cakes, and coconut stuff. I sincerely tried very hard to break open a hairy coconut. When I finally did, it tasted very bad. There was dry sand in my shoes, and we showed coming home from the beach. We had orange towels with a relief pattern to hang up. We had 2 little stools with wooden bars big and small. We had igloo coolers and a long refrigerator and fan. I buried a cone shell after having found it in a pool of water. We still played in a plastic pool outside. There were living sea dragons and seahorses at the aquarium. My pop gave me some seahorses as a gift. My dad wore mean thick black rimmed glasses. Pop shined his shoes quickly with kiwi. We ate shrimp and chicken rice with Campbell's cream of mushroom. I had a silver on the inside a Bellone seashell from San Francisco. We had a regular night black mailbox and a P.O. box. We sat on a yellow toilet under the walls. My queer brother Mike and I would lay down in the tree out front. I remember worrying about my friendly parents getting divorced after first hearing of the word. Mom would kindly call us inside from outside. Billy, Mickey. There were superior butterflies, dragonflies, and seagulls which we chased on the beach. I remember wondering about the unfriendly Bermuda Triangle. We read Anne Lindbergh books. We had big speakers for our little record player. I had a toy record player with plastic musical discs. I remember the huge robot craft from the movie Star Wars which the fearsome stormtroopers used. I cried when I came to get my first haircuts. Then Mike cried when he came to get his. Dad wore Speed Stick by men and deodorant. We blew our set noses in puffs. We used up the Scott toilet paper. We used up the Bounty paper towels and hefty garbage bags. My lively dad gave us rations from the military to eat sometimes. On base I saw M60s with bayonets fired. Older kids who spoke better lived at the bottom of the dead end. I remembered I made friendship bracelets. I read 2 volumes of The Way Things Work book. I read my Yellow Ask How book. I read a Golden Minerals book. The military squad marched forth. We tie-dyed our shirts all kinds of colors. We made multicolored Easter eggs. I fortunately collected Hot Wheels. I loved to study the barracuda fish, dung beetles, and bears in their holes, and June bugs were common insects I pursued. I had a little ant farm. We went to art museums with our school. We saw modern art by painters such as Andy Warhol, soup cans, Robert Rauschenberg, and Newman. Superfragicalisticspilidocious Mary Poppins. I myself heard ukulele songs. We put up bamboo wind chimes in the rain. There were mouse traps with no cheese. Penguins and boa constrictors I knew were at the zoo. I had a toy rubber bat to play with. I had a big cardboard file cabinet. I sat on and rode a camel and an elephant at the zoo. As a boy I rode my grandmother's dog Pluto on vacation in San Francisco. My mom sang to me Rockabye Baby. Be patient and lonely little petunia in an onion patch. I was told there was a petting zoo with bunnies and guinea pigs. I read a Purple Mandy strangely illustrated book. I enjoyed reading Doodle's books. Jimmy Carter was elected president to represent Americans. I had peacock's feathers from the peacocks I saw. I read the Golden Books series, Mr. Grumpy, and more. I was taught how to add more and more. We sat on colorful rubber flower slip preventers in the tub. Our blue clear shower curtain had our favorite flowers on it. We had a daisy and a strut earth welcome mat for our bare feet. For birthdays each year there were Mickey Mouse balloons. I remembered we had party hats and whistlers with extenders. I for one loved to throw snaps fireworks on the ground. On special days we broke cascarones on our heads. We had a strange slide dialing cable box and rising TV antennas. I had one miniature football helmet. I had little lurking metal miniature pigs. Mike and I rode much in a red wagon. I fell out of my high chair eating ice cream at the parlor when my Aunt Anne came to visit from Virginia. We came to draw with our crayon sets. Clowns made balloon animals at our yearly McDonald's birthday parties. We played on the playground equipment at McDonald's many days. In the dry sandboxes were army figures large and small and cowboys and Indians. I loved to play with plastic toy dinosaurs and taught myself how to read, pronounce, and write their names. I had a beautiful, big Cheyenne Nico cat which my pop and I broke when it was full of coins. I for one loved Heathcliff and Garfield especially. We read the Family Circle comic books. My mom made me a stuffed green Tyrannosaurus Rex and a purple Ichthyosaurus swimming dinosaur. I had a little Hot Wheels garage. I had a helicopter Lego set. I had a police car Lego set from a McDonald's Happy Meal. Romeo and Juliet was performed by Henry Mancini. We went to the Barnum and Bailey 3-ring circus and ate peanuts. My pop would only mix Bailey's Irish cream with his ice cream. We wore green and felled shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day. We ate little hearts with the sayings on them for Valentine's Day and got big Valentine cards from school. Candy corn was given to us for our lively Halloweens. I drank ginger ale as I should. We played with an electronic robot toy. We shouted and played Go Fish, Spades, Hearts, Gin, and Canasta. My pop would show us how and why to play 52 pickup. There were paddle boats on the shore by the glass-bottomed boat and aquarium. There were weeping fountains in the gardens of the palaces and museums of Hawaii. I read a 50 states book with the state flags on the cover. I blew bubbles with everyone I knew. I had orange and green water guns which I took to school to play Billy the Kid. I had cool bookmarkers with tasseled tails. We drank eggnog for the playful holidays. Dad cared to wash with lava soap. We scrubbed our hair with Johnson's & Johnson's baby shampoo, a sponge and a flowing washcloth. There was also a fishy shower curtain. I quickly washed the car with Mom and Pop. We had a green and a black hose for the plants when it didn't rain. We had sprinklers which fanned, and also went up and down. On sunny days we played slip and slide and there was also a fountain that went up and down. We named the clouds at recess at the places on the playground and beach. John Denver's song Callista was heard by all. We had green pillows with pom-poms and tassels on them. My lunch bags had my names on them to remember whose was whose. I ate for my packed lunch plenty of raisins, peanut butter banana and honey sandwiches, carrot and celery sticks with peanut butter, apples, bologna and salami sandwiches with mayo and yellow mustard. I for one hated big grub worms. I had a magic kit with a wand during the last days. I shuffled and hustled 3 nuts with a ball under one of all of them. I for one loved my little unicorn. We had a fresh strawberry and pansy patch with small fruits. My pop told me about his past on Isetta, Mercedes Gullwing, and Messerschmitt cars. I had a zip-up mouse with new mice babies. My mom had a hair dryer and a case for it. I saw my mom use Nair for her legs. We owned a good vacuum cleaner. I looked at my zip-up turtle stuffed animal. I had a noiseless plastic crab. I kicked a soccer ball and sent it flying. There were some little white mice at the Dull School. We sat in a Ferris wheel at the fair. A huge stuffed dinosaur was bought at the Virginia Fair and brought back a long way to Hawaii. We handled a beanbag chair. We handled a futon chair. We handled a wicker chair. We grew sensitive fern plants. Japanese fish were sent swimming in fish ponds. I remember friendly builder Bob. Builders everywhere tended to the look of the landscape. Land and people too tended. Everybody was good as they should be. This was before people let it go. A clock was on the wall in my dad's office on base where we came to visit. We had a grandfather clock in our home and 2 hanging wall clocks of wood. My dad played basketball with his friends and lifted me up to slam dunk it. I was frustrated I could not throw the ball up that high, but he told me that one day I would be able to. There were red, pink, medium and large rubber balls which we bounced. I sat and bounced on the spring metal animals in the playground. At the supermarket my mom would put quarters in the bucking bronco for kids machine and Mike and I would ride it in front of men. We had a sit and spin, which I for a long time disliked, and a twister game. I slid up and down slides at school. I played with parachuting army toy men. I enjoyed coming to look into the kaleidoscope. We had a toy 3D switch viewer with Muppet circle reels and also a play camera with a cartoon film inside. We put on 3D glasses to see the Swamp Thing movie. I for one loved Herbie, the love bug who went bananas. There were long concrete balance beam snakes and animals at the zoo. I had a model gull wing car to put pleasantly together. I had an all-metal airplane set. We played with a flip-down reaction wooden chain block toy. I played with a ball in the cup toy. I played with a paddle ball toy. We had Easter baskets for that Sunday. We had sandcastle pails, shovels, and rakes for the wet sand. We had a red microscope. Mom gaily made us some orange juice and grape juice from a frozen Minute Maid can. I learned how and why to write tally marks. We had some poor little jointed plastic snakes. Mike got a toy fire engine and a fire hat once. I remember it still in the box. Brand new before he played with it. Mike had a pop-up bubble lawn mower to play with by the flowers. My queer brother Mike had a plastic hammer. I saw paintings by the lady, Frida Kahlo. We brought home green groceries from the commissary. We were fitted, for shoes at the PX exchange. I wore penny loafers with a copper pennies in them. We played with a colorful centipede ball toy with removable antennas. We put ornaments on the tree on the holiday until we were done. We patiently grew a cactus and aloe plants at all of our homes in Hawaii. I drew some hand turkeys of my hand. We loved to eat gentle push-up popsicles. I put broken shells in a plastic collector case. I had more than one empty Kodak picture film black and gray tubes. My first school had a rectangular room. The desks were all one piece like the one I had at home. David wore diapers. My mom cleaned him, gave him baby formula, dropping it warm on her wrist to make sure it was the right temperature. Gerber baby food, green applesauce, banana, and peas. I was gently breastfed. Wet waves would wash the sand castle away. We had 2 wooden stools. One had nursery rhyme words carved into it. I thought about lava from the Earth's volcanoes. I had, thank God, just a nightmare of our rushed night evacuation after a volcano blew. David had baby toys to play with. We went inside to experience some show tanks. I saw the submarine control panel blaze. On a school picnic my mom cut the rind off an golden apple for me. With a tiny little stapler I pleasantly stapled a little flash book I made together. We all of us grew a cherry tomato plant. Here and there were OOA birds. I remember hearing more and more of the Rainbow Warriors University. I learned more and more of the Dewey Decimal System at the University Library. We were taught to cut up the soda 6-pack plastic can holders so that water wildlife wouldn't choke in them if they found them. I patiently made a house of cards. I stacked dominoes and lined them up and down to set a chain reaction, and I had some on yellow tracks too. I had a bug golden book to read. I wore little bugle boy pants. Mom used Prel shampoo in a pink bottle to wash her flowing hair. We had Red Hall's cough drops around. David, Mike and I got messy eating on our high chairs, but Mom was not mad. We had sweet Sesame Street bibs. We kept our toys in a black chest each day. We grew my favorite marigold flowers in the yard. A yellow rock wall which led up to our home from the seashore was where Mike got stung by a buzzing bee. My dad and Mom exchanged presents with each other on birthdays and other holidays each year. The 20th of June was the time of their anniversary. I gave to my mom one day a fragile clay robin. Mom widely watched as the world turns. Mom baked wholesome Pillsbury cinnamon rolls and buns. I read Incredible Hawaii, a red book of history and facts and folklore. I read a Hawaiian trees book. We all of us had yellow pokey forks to eat corn on the cob with. I used chopsticks and I learned to play chopsticks on a piano one day. I childishly pulled off the stickers of the pyramid puzzle before I really learned how to solve it. We had high attics. Our second home had a basement for a noisy laundry machine. Our neighbors at our second home had an above ground hot tub to sit out in under the sun. I burned myself on a broken sparkler. I had big, funny $1 million Hollywood glasses. We fed a maid, Louise, at our second home. We had a babysitter come down sometimes. We swept with a room carpet glider which was red and black. We all of us ate peanut butter, chocolate caramel, and mint Girl Scout cookies. We all of us ate s'mores. We ate in out of takeout boxes from Panda Inn and Genghis Khan. There were delightful drums, kettle drums, metal drums, and dancing. We played with toy Play-Doh factory with clay molds. I watched my mom quickly vacuum. Mom took fresh showers very early before we would wake up and before she went to bed. Like Pop, we went to bed pretty early in the summertime. Mom and Dad would watch Johnny Carson with Ed McMahon. After we went to bed, when we could keep our eyes open no more, I saw the 60-minute stopwatch tick on a commercial. I remember learning how to spell numbers in writing if Mom or Dad would say more of them aloud. I fed on breakfast with Mom, Pop, David, and Mike. I ate lunch food in the summer with Mom and Mike. Then David. David would get messy and cry. We had ice cream only as a treat. We ate cinnamon sugar graham crackers with white marshmallow icing. We ate white rice pudding, and also a bread and warm milk pudding soup. Every time Mom and Pop had a child, it was time to move. We played with a big wooden toy giraffe and a stuffed one. We had and skipped over the road on a pogo stick. Mike and I played on stilts until we were done for the day. Mike and I found our hidden presents for the holidays under Mom's and Dad's bed. Mom and Pop had their 10-year anniversary day. Mike and I played kazoos and the one triangle. Mike and I wore goggles for looking underwater. Mike had one pair of white and dark sunglasses. I for one loved to watch My Little Pony and Strawberry Shortcake. Here and there were many stone and concrete water bridges. Trellis canopies and gazebos were near the faraway zoo. We looked at the water lilies. There was a beautiful calico and a tabby alley cat. David played with plastic baby keys when he was born. My brother Mike and I made our own fruit popsicles at our second home. Nice people were all around in poetic Hawaiian shirts. At the dinner club there was a lady singer who took the stage. It was dark inside the clubhouse country club entertainment hall on bass. A spotlight highlighted the performers when it was time. Sometimes I wish that just went to bass with my pop alone. Only you can prevent forest fires. Smokey the Bear. I stuck a paperclip in a wall socket and was shocked. I also was shocked after sticking my finger in the socket of a broken light. I had some moon leggers with flat gray bases and craters for my hands to play with. I ate rock candy on special days. I made clothspin supermen and reindeer with googly eyes and some fishy dinosaur ones at home. There were mighty caves by the beach. BD 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 BD. Buck Rogers robot. My mom wore large pink and small green hair rollers to roll her flowing hair. She wore shower caps. My wonderful mom put on makeup, eyeliner, perfume, curled her eyelashes, put on lipstick, power foundation, blush, did her eyebrows, used baby powder, plucked and combed her hair, used acne cream, brushed her teeth, and gargled like my dad in the morning in a mirror or hand mirror. We bowled with a plastic red bowling ball and pins as well as horseshoes. Dad grunted, stretched, and wholesomely yawned. We experimented with making volcanoes with clay, baking soda, and vinegar, and I for one loved that smell. We made shiny planets out of styrofoam which orbited around the sun. There was a Just Science fair. We had red lights in a lamp. I had a wonderful lava lamp. Mom cleaned the dishes and spoons, the kitchen and sweat. Mom hated centipedes and would jump up on the couch bed if she saw one. I patiently learned about the dangerous black widows, brown recluses and tarantula spiders. We had some pussy willow and cattails for decoration we collected by the trees. I was told the story of Bucky the rabbit and the briar patch and the men. Mother and I ate crunchy mini biscuits as well as Triscuits with spray cheese on them. We stood and ate animal crackers. We stood and ate pink Bratches coated animal crackers. Dad fed his little dog at work dry food. On the beach we found crabs, seaweed, fish bones, sand dollars, broken shells, whole shells, tops, and Corey's ringed and snake head. I had some little strawberry top shells. We saw aesthetic Japanese gessias with fans. Umbrellas were placed in our good drinks. I had a black and white Nico chain cat on a keychain. I had a finger in a box trick. I had a removing finger trick. David Copperfield I saw and learned from him a rubber band escape trick. I remembered my pop's friend was named Mac. We ate a lot of watermelon with salt. Paprika was a timeless good spice. We ate no end to fries and Heinz ketchup, and put RE sauce or Worcester sauce on our hamburgers or cheeseburgers. The milkman would deliver white milk in glass pint bottles. We drank ice water in the sunlight. Popcorn was popped in rustling foil on our stove. My brother and I ate Fruit Pops green zebra, orange cheetah, red otter, and purple rhino. The cheetah was my favorite animal of my heart. 26 was my favorite number of my heart. We ate boring roast chicken, and Kentucky fried chicken in a bucket and I liked to have the drumstick. We pulled upon the wishbone. Here and there were hippos at the zoo. My mom sent out letters with letterhead to her mom and family in Virginia. We were read postcards and letters from all. Zebras were at the zoo. Another one of my favorite animals in my heart. I wanted a beautiful ferret. I played word circle puzzles with my mom as well as crossword puzzles. I had a soft white puppet duck named Quacker. I made a smiley face on my finger with my pen. We ate cooked sweet sunflower seeds. There were cornucopias at school time. I had a Gumby and Pokey keychain. I learned some Braille and Morse code. We drank chocolate milk in little cartons. We had a chain link fence. The neighbors had plants and a big dog. I made paperclip springs. At school and at home in the spring with Mike I played paper football. My queer brother Mike and I played telephone with cans and some string. I ate frosty maple donuts from Dunkin' Donuts and had eclairs. I learned the 50 states and capitals. I played checkers with mom and pop. I had a feather collection. I for one would wish on ladybugs. Here and there were telephone booths. We went to a lemon bear stuffed animal store in Annapolis, Maryland on our short vacation. Here and there were lots of taxi cabs. I had a clear plastic ball labyrinth toy. My manly pop had Marine Corps rings. We ate peanuts and macadamia nuts on our vacation flight. Disco music still played. We had a big tan comforter on our tan couch. We owned a carved out long wooden golden bowl. I remembered to search for the vanilla extract smell. Orange gumdrops were my favorite in my heart. My pop drank sometimes good Sappho beer. I had a little toy polar bear to go along with my little metal pigs. We had a fig and a golden pear tree. I for one loved peppermint chews. We had a little yellow honey dipper. We visited for school a beekeeper and his buzzing bees and wore bee suits. We had a banana tree. In the pleasant bathroom was an fuzzy blue and light blue oval bath mat and toilet mat. My pop hung up a shining Bud Light poster with 3 women sunbathing. My mom wore a pearly necklace when she went out. I swept like a child. I was interested in the best serif fossils. I had red, blue, black, and white bandanas. My manly pop had a tool set with tools. Dad worked down on his Honda and replaced the air filter. I wore my favorite blue and gray pajamas. Mike yellow. I wore the brown gray swim trunks I had for swimming. There were natural double rainbows. We all of us had a brown sunflower painting. We had a yellow bookshelf against the wall. We played with a Bert and Ernie toy car. Mike and I together had a plastic red bubble car to sit in and ride with a yellow top. We ate hardening chocolate fudge on our ice cream under the sun. I was told the story of where babies came down from stalks. Dad dressed up and down as Santa Claus. I wore a grey London fog jacket with white socks. Here and there were the skins of dead frogs in the streets. Telephone poles had bars to climb them and they were made with 2 different kinds of wire. We had a red fire hydrant in the front yard. Some low fire hydrants were painted different colors. I had a little brown wallet. I collected old metal washers. I wondered about slip dollars and newly counterfeit money. We had some little wooden buffalo nickels. Mom broke eggshells when making cakes. Scrambled and stirred the eggs. I loved to sit and eat eggs Benedict. We ate pancakes and French toast on the side with maple syrup and cinnamon. Gray squirrels played in the yard of our house. The golden mulch pit we had caught on fire a little. I played with a magnifying glass in the sun and tried to light leaves. Dad, my queer brother Mike, and I used toothpicks. I made a toothpick house using no glue. I had an oval plastic coin purse and a gray canvas coin purse with a snap. Batteries were important being that we had electronic stuff. My mom had room boxes for showing us children. I had a snacker skin and rattle. There were bushes out by our front door in the yard. We had Easter egg hunts with plastic eggs down on the ground. We ate jelly beans. Peeps. My mom's favorite. Jif and wholesome Peter Pan peanut butter crunchy and smooth. We fed off of Jello finger food. There grew much desired ivy. I perhaps yet had my rash from poison ivy once. I took down Tylenol capsule pills for the first time. We had little chewable Bayer aspirin to swallow. We took little Flintstone vitamins and saw the cartoon as well. We all of us watched Scooby-Dooby-Doo. My parents had brassy Korean cranes in a cabinet. My parents displayed wooden birds on wood at home. We had clay Siamese cats and beautiful Korean cats. In my rests I thought about the Siamese twins. There it was. Camouflage stuff. Timeless fishnets were hung. I had some tiny starfish. I practiced drawing shining stars. Dad had a mean cracked dashboard. Dad had a quick shot Canon camera, like grandpa's. I had a rubber Garfield pencil topper. Mike had a torn stuffed Odie doll. I quickly learned the alphabet at my pop's work. I hiccuped and knew. I wore a belt with a metal fold clip and teeth. It was stretchy and red and brown. I had a cap gun, a silver badge, a plaid shirt, and gray boots. I wore a shiny yellow rain jacket to play in the rain. We had a big, round vacuum cleaner. I had a tan gray metal box to lock stuff up in like little red and black Bibles which I owned. I had a Yale master lock in my room with a key to it. Mike and I had toy lightsabers to mock fight with. We ate crazy salads with feta, cherry tomatoes, and salt. We had pepperoni or mushroom pizza from the oven homemade and the ones they packaged. We boys ate buttered hot dogs with hot dog buns. I found the nest of a bird. I found blue eggs and took them to school. We had show and tell to highly look forward to. We collected sea driftwood. We had a big Kool-Aid pitcher. We had a regular Tupperware tan pitcher and a light pea green oval one. We had a white with a vivid yellow striped teapot and a white rice cooker. We played the Operation, Monopoly, and life games we were given. We played with toy sock puppets. We played with a toy wall set of logs used to construct homes. We played with the Jenga toys. We had 5 pounds and 10 pounds plastic silver blue weight sets. I for one kicked a hacky sack. We had a green glass bubble vase and a white one too. Our birthday cakes had candles and names on them in icing. The candles were sometimes the number letters of our ages. I read the crime section of the newspaper. I came to look through the classifieds. We read the comics on Sunday morning. Family Circle, Garfield, Annie, Batman, Green Lantern, Dick, and The Far Side. We ate angel food cakes, pineapple upside down cake, brownies with cherries sometimes, maraschino cherries, chocolate covered cherries, my mom's favorite, ice cream bonbons, peanut M&Ms, and cherry cobbler with Cool Whip on it. We had a tall white feathered lamp. We had gray, brown and tan wicker chairs. We had a cardboard sun visor to set up for us in our car. Fresh groceries came home in paper bags from Handy Dandy Market. We had Eris brand silverware. We read the letters we got from the postman, who had a mustache and was nice. We all of us carved pumpkins. We had a long white fan with a blue propeller. We had a friendly foot warmer bath. We used a turkey-based dropper for cooking plenty of turkey and a thermometer. Turkeys were dipped in plenty of oil. Dad grilled more hot dogs and burgers. We all of us got our tetanus, malaria, and flu shots. We played with colorful beads which moved actively on colorful wires. The toy shop to play in was awesome. I learned the place names of the White Islands. I rang and tinkled a little bell which was an inch high. We had also a 6 inches high brass bell. We made ice in the freezer in the summertime. My pop made homemade peppermint ice cream in the summertime. We had fun playing with laser tag toy lasers. At my first house I had a lucky cricket shut up in a cage. We came to look through the Sears and Best catalogs. My pop had a US military green black pocket pouch. Pop used Tiger Balm on his hands. We all of us took Centrum vitamins for kids and orange flavored vitamin C tablets. We washed our hands bright much. My mom wore feather hats sometimes. When mom and pop went out together on dates they looked fortunately great. I saw The Parent Trap of Disney with Hayley Mills on television. I for one ate honeycomb, frosted flakes, and sugary frosted flakes. I had metal black clips little and large. We had plastic indoor garbage cans to take out in any weather. We counted more on a wooden abacus. We desired some typeset blocks. Here and there were caterpillars, moths and butterflies living around us. Cocoons stuck to trees and some plants. Elephant beetle and black beetles crawled gaily around. We had a dialing black colored telephone with multi-lines. We played with neon toy glow sticks. I had tiny glow-in-the-dark stickers. We had a sit-down saddle scooter which we played with for a long time. My friends and I had foot scooters. I had a decorative car from 1910 made out of bolts set within a frame. We used flypaper to catch the buzzing insects. I had a Duesenberg car model with an AM and FM radio set in one. I had little old toy cars too. I broke apart the Rubik's Cube and put the pieces on the table. Sweet children wore and threw flowers. Women wore flowers and new Hawaiian shirts. Mom loved the odor of honeysuckle. We watched Mom put sugar in our Kool-Aid. We had a short laundry basket with a blue grid which we left in the room. We ate Crackle and other good Hershey's miniatures. I learned the old art of origami. I had an excellent marble set to play with on the floor. There were metal spray faucets that screwed onto the hoses in the yard. I had some little flat skipping stones which I saved for a special day to skip. We played and watched Bingo played. We blew the seeds off dandelion weeds in the yard. I thought I found on the earth a dinosaur's pelvic bone. We had some petrified tree wood. I had a little quartz rock collection. We had a car jack and brown flat roller bed to pass under the car. Mom and Mike and David and I would take walks around the glorious neighborhood with the stroller. We cut grass with a Jacobson mower and a green plug-in weed eater. We trimmed the bush with electric and handheld trimmers. I owned a black handle husky saw. We had a bike tube pump with a tire gauge for repairing the wheels. We memorized William Blake's Tiger Tiger Burning Bright. In class, we all of us ate off of dull black plates. We ate off of plastic Tupperware lunch trays that had clear tops to see through. I drew with a new magnetic writer with magnetic fuzz. I wanted a new moat when I grew up. I shot mossy pokey weed spikes. I enjoyed Milky Way bars at home. I would look for 4-leaf clovers whenever I saw a green clover patch. There it was, a rat in a cage at school. We used a big red brick and 2D harness bricks for holding the car in place. We had a round yellow wooden tree swing tied to a branch way up high. Flies still bothered us when we ate outdoors. Palo Alto's stone bricks were yellowing in time. There was a shaded grove in front of Palo Alto School. At the Capitol building a statue of a seated King Humahamaha with a yellow and red flowered cape and mohawk. There were beloved parades with floats. I sang I Love a Parade. I had a little arrowhead collection. I wanted a crossbow and I, however, tried to make one out of branches and string. I shot a cursed slingshot. I remembered the rainbow parade from my childhood. We stacked red terracotta pots to plant good plants in. We rescued a noisy bird from outside. We had a large fish net tied together. Differential equations. Pop I remembered I loved buttercup flowers. We made a wreath out of garbage bags for our feasts. I remember the big presents, when they were named and wrapped. Mom had a whole spice rack for her McCormick spices. We had a black twisty pepper shaker and a Tupperware white salt shaker. Gaga called and changed the wallpaper to plaid. Buzzing bees were in the wall 167. The newest timeless trend was recycling. We all of us collected plastic gallon milk bottles and soda cans for money. 5 cents each. I collected stuff in unused old McCormick bottles like sand and seawater. Here and there were tie-ties for the hefty bags and also plastic garbage slips with teeth to close the bags. We yielded to Nestle chocolate chips and butterscotch chips. We folks ate little red cinnamon hearts. We bought rice which came in bags. We hoped to use the empty butter containers for things. Here and there were Windex bottles around. I helped Mom cut butter sticks when we made hot oatmeal cookies. I wrote with a number 2 pencil at school time. My queer brother Mike got mumps, measles, and chicken pox. We had a bird feeder and a hummingbird feeder and a bird house. Bees buzzed in the thistles. We ate golden monkey bread. We had little batteries, Radio Shack and Centrum. We used vegetable and beef bouillon cubes in our broth. We had a number spin wheel gauge around. Some owls hooted at night and cats caterwauled on the hill. I handled a nice button collection in a jar. At the wet beach we saw sea cucumbers and horseshoe crabs. We sent out a message in a bottle one time. Mom used to cover her odor. Secret deodorant. Mom wore bead purses, black purses and tote bags for the day. I read the book Collecting Seashells by John Stone. I for one always wanted a chambered nautilus. I attended shell clubs and wanted a $60 tiger Cory, but I was broke. We wore coppertone and suntan to the beach. We ate little and big marshmallows. I clipped and filed anew my fingernails. I learned a different way to tie tight my shoes. We ate golden and white Wonder Bread. My pop had a favorite blue exercise hand gripper. We would arm wrestle and give each other unpleasant Indian arm burns. We ate fresh pineapple fruits. Dad went up on the roof because we needed to have the antenna fixed. The roof would leak at our third house after a feared storm. The reading lights went out a few times. We had a big bulky wooden chest and drawer. Mom polished and cleaned anew with Pledge and Mr. Clean. I had a windsock that bent down. We ate up Eggo waffles. Index cards were used often. I had an index card holder to hold all of my cards. Mom had a flat black Rolodex and white index card holder for hers and Pop's addresses and phone numbers. We ate hot brown sugar cinnamon broiled toast with butter. We had a mushroom toy house to play with. Mushrooms grew everywhere. I feared to death the poisonous ones. We saw some will-o'-the-wisp trees. We later had a quartz round geodesic rock. Mom one time painted her fingernails. We had a tusk horn to blow. Mom wore hair clips in her flowing hair. I had a siren light to set up on a car. Pop had a dependable wheelbarrow. I had a motorcycle sounding handlebar accessory for my bike when I traveled. I broke in my baseball game glove. We were sent swirly colored plastic inflated balls. We ate spinach because of Popeye and Olive and Severe Brutus. To be strong. I had a cruel shark's mouth bone with shark's teeth. We collected tickets after playing good games at Chuck E. Cheese's and Mr. Gatti's. Montana, wonderful Hawaii, and Vermont were my favorite states. I mindlessly watched The Elephant Man on TV. I read Ripley's Believe It or Not and record books. I saw a man shot high out of a cannon at a show. I used a black and rainbow notebook with a white plastic spiral. There was an octopus in a jar in my hand once. I played in bumper cars on the days we went to the park. I rode the old merry-go-rounds. We could win a hard-fought prize of a stuffed animals at the fair if we could throw a ping pong ball into a cup. I painfully memorized the tongue twister Betty bought a bit of butter. We grew some plum trees. We had light yellow or light blue plastic ringed shower curtains across the walls. I liked getting for a present a stuffed duck-billed platypus. We saw and feared the Wizard of Oz. Pop had a big rubber band. I knew and appreciated Jabba the Hutt. We made good chalk drawings on the sidewalk. We played hopscotch when I was a boy. We saw and feared the praying mantis. We had some ladders and never stepped on the top step. I would hold them for my pop or mom wanted me to. People crabbed in a boat outside. There they were. 2 seashell shops. I had one bubble gum machine. The kids did a robot dance at night down the street to disco music and fireworks. I made regular and small-sized paper airplanes out of messages. Mom wore bell bottoms when she went out. We had a disc flipping game, tacks, and flipped little discs up into a cup. Mom ate cocktail sauce with her shrimp which we children did not like the taste of. I had a quail hat's feather. Dick Clark was popular or not. I tried to learn how to braid long hair. David, Mike and I had unique baby birthmarks. Dad had mean scars from his appendicitis and war wounds. My manly dad had many moles. We all of us loved to drink A&W root beer floats. I had a number loop puzzle which I diagrammed in order to solve anew. Mike and I had C-3PO and R2-D2 action figures to play with. Waves of the sea were at different heights. We had a nutty electric can opener. I loved Porpoise and the one and only whale shark. Mom used odorous fabric softener sheets. We had a lint filter high on our machine. Mike and David had outie belly buttons and mine was an innie. I removed my belly button lint on my stomach. We had some friendly poker chips. We ate more plain spaghetti and meatballs. Chef Boyardee. And meatballs and cut up hot dogs in brown sugar sauce. Mom represented herself with a purse made of shells. I owned a colored pencil set and map pencils to write with. We saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. We crossed the streets around the yards with a street guard and his street signs. We had to come and look both ways before crossing the street. I would slowly turn my head to stare at Mike to make him laugh loudly. We moved to San Antonio, Texas when I was 6. In my early youth. Finis other books by the McBride's Hawaiian Sonnets and other poems Head Batresha. A Fantasy MOAT. Outline and Memoir.